In 1736, the Arnold estate was built in Harrisville, Rhode Island. For centuries, locals kept their distance from this 14-room farmhouse and its surrounding acres. Investigators eventually discovered the source of that fear, buried on the property, an unmarked cemetery holding 8 graves, with records detailing highly unnatural deaths among the Arnold family. This photograph of a 1970s living room shows the domestic reality of the era, the exact environment where Roger and Carolyn Perrone moved in 1971. The children were dragged from their beds at night and subjected to physical terror by a dark entity calling itself Bathsheba. The family brought in Ed and Lorraine Warren. After evaluating the property, the famous demonologists delivered a severe diagnosis: a demonic infestation. Decades of historical evidence proved this location was a documented zone of severe demonic activity. Standard paranormal investigations share a core flaw. Teams usually check in for a single night or a weekend, leaving with only fragments of data before the entity can truly react. A modern team decided to push the limits, a continuous 14-day lock-in, eating, sleeping, and breathing the air with 0 breaks. This schematic blueprint shows the deployment of over $50,000 in equipment. Overlapping motion sensors, EMF meters, and thermal cameras covered all 14 rooms. The goal was to run a controlled endurance experiment, documenting exactly what happens to the human psyche when you refuse to leave. The house reacted immediately. As this digital thermometer display shows, the ambient temperature plunged 15 degrees in just 3 seconds, the moment the team walked through the front door. Upstairs, in the specific bedroom where the Perrone children once slept, EMF meters spiked straight into the red zone. On night 3, the team ran a spirit box session. Through the static, they captured a clear, direct audio command: "Get out." The entity relied entirely on environmental manipulation to intimidate the intruders before they could unpack. By night 4, the team's physiology began to crack. Investigators who had been friends for years experienced sudden mood swings, unexplained anger, and sleep paralysis. Then the attacks turned physical. This anatomical diagram illustrates what one investigator found upon waking: 3 distinct, parallel red scratch marks on his back. In demonology, this calculated mockery of the Holy Trinity represents the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The climax of the first week hit on night 7 at exactly 3 a.m., the witching hour, known as the demonic inversion of the hour Christ died. Every motion sensor and EMF meter in the house triggered simultaneously. In the kitchen, every cabinet door hung open, and the word "leave" was written into the dust on the counter. 2 investigators packed their bags that night. The entity successfully broke the team's cohesion, escalating to physical expulsion tactics to force them out. The remaining members stayed. Outlasting that psychological breaking point yielded the clearest physical evidence of the entire investigation. Take a look at this thermal footage from night 11. A bright heat signature silhouette of a human walks down the hallway, then abruptly dissolves straight into the solid dark wall. Down in the cellar, an EVP recording specifically targeted a female investigator, whispering her names 3 times in the dark. On night 13, in a sealed living room with no open windows or drafts, a heavy antique rocking chair began to move. Watch how the rocking motion stops entirely. Very slowly, the chair rotates on its vertical axis to face the camera lens directly. By surviving the initial intimidation, the remaining team was able to record the specific physical behaviors of a sentient, intelligent force. On day 14, the exhausted team finally walked out the front door, believing they had successfully survived the experiment. But in the weeks that followed, they collided with a terrifying psychological reality known as demonic attachment. Team members reported shadows moving through their own homes. One investigator even had to call a priest when his young daughter began talking to an unseen entity in her bedroom. Escaping the physical boundaries of the estate was an illusion. The prolonged exposure allowed the entity to latch onto them and follow them out. The Conjuring House remains standing today, and it actively accepts paying visitors for overnight investigations. The data from this investigation suggests that the house leaves a lasting imprint on those who stay, turning a research project into a permanent personal attachment. The evil inside is not contained by the walls of the farmhouse. If you stay long enough, you will bring it home.